Hey there, Simian Squad. Welcome to a special free-to-all members-exclusive episode of Mr. Sean Productions. I know I keep touting that joining even the $1 tier gets you access to all of the member-exclusive videos, but, sometimes you want to know what it is you're going to pay money for before you make a purchase. So every once in a while, I'm going to throw one of these out. It's the same style as the member-exclusives. It's just kind of my own inner thoughts, my own opinions on things. And today you can enjoy that. And maybe if you enjoy this video, you'll consider joining that $1 tier. But let's get into it. So if you've heard me talk about my own personal opinions on things, you probably will know that I am a massive proponent of capitalism. I believe in this day and age where people will say one thing and do another, the best way to view what people truly believe in is to look at how they spend their money. And by providing people the things with which they want to spend money on, you are fulfilling a need. Boom. That's my take on capitalism. It has its flaws, but ultimately it is the most honest way for us to express ourselves. I recently had a discussion with my wife that it bordered on an argument about our differing views. I am perfectly fine with the Pokemon Company has recently shut down their vending machines in order to do a forced update in order to prevent scalpers from clearing out the machines in one go. I am totally fine when retailers put limits on how much of an item you are able to buy, and whether that be the company themselves, in the case of the Pokemon Company vending machines, or just places like Target saying, hey, you can only buy this many, and we will not be, having an argument with you on this. You buy what you're allowed to, and you save some for other people. If they want to put that on it, that's fine, and I'm totally in support of that. But my wife's furthering opinion was that the scalpers need to be punished for their actions. And quite frankly, while I do find scalping to be kind of a shady enterprise, I think ultimately this is a great time for people to, again, speak with their money, not buy from scalpers, and simply say, we are not going to put up with this behavior. And then the scalping will stop because they're not going to keep up the behavior if they're not making any money. It is not the scalpers' fault that people are unwilling to just say go without Pokemon cards. So anytime I see a business doing something that, while not morally wrong per se, I find that this is disagreeable to my own convictions, I am hesitant to speak of it because I feel a bit hypocritical, because I'm saying, hey, I am not cool with what you're doing in the free market. And while that is kind of a conundrum for me, ultimately I'm not telling anybody what to do with their business. I'm simply expressing my dissatisfaction, and ultimately the best way that I can do so is by, again, not shopping there. But I'm also allowed to give out my opinion. If people choose to listen to it, that's on them. If not, well, again, nobody has to listen to me, but you are, so I think you're at least maybe interested in what I have to say, and I'm gonna kind of go into that today concerning some recent things I've seen on the Facebook page of a group that a store that I used to frequent. I have not for some time for a reason I will get into, and that I will not be going back due to me not agreeing with their current behavior. But again, I do not wish these people any ill. I hope that they are able to succeed in their business. They are nice people. I just don't happen to agree with them on what they're doing. So I guess we're going to call this segment Business Talk with Mr. Sean.
Work it, build it, scale it, ship it, faster cycles, watch us flip it, larger markets, global reach, push the limits past the peak. Bigger, better, faster, cheaper, streamline systems, growing deeper, cut the costs and raise production, more efficient, no disruption.
So to anyone who's listened to me for any period of time on the channel, you'll know that I am from Ohio, and there is a store in Newark, Ohio that I used to frequent on the regular called Game Table Adventures, or GTA for short. The business was originally founded in 2011. They have been in their current location since 2018, and since 2023, the business has been owned by husband and wife team Sean and Kat Kern. The store features a wide selection of gaming products, be that miniatures, card games, role-playing games, even a selection of some comics and fantasy books. And by looking at their social media, also has a large and active customer base, both for purchasing as well as in-store gaming in their gaming area. Now, I stated that I used to frequent the store, which is true, and I frequented it well into 2024 last year, but I did stop partway through the year, and I really haven't been back since, because the reason I would go there so frequently was they were one of the few stores where I could find my favorite brand of miniature paint, Reaper's Master Series paint, which is getting harder and harder to find in actual stores. I don't like ordering it online because Reaper, I can order it directly from Reaper, but their shipping is rather expensive. Sometime after the Kerns took over in 2023, they stopped restocking the paint. When I asked about this, they told me that it was simply that their order wasn't coming in, though other stores at the time that were ordering Reaper paint were getting it in, and also their Citadel paints, just their paint selection in general, seemed to dwindle, leading me to believe that they just weren't ordering it, though that is not what they told me. That is merely my own speculation. While I have not been back in several months, this post on their Facebook page from Valentine's Day of this year specifically states that their paint order came in, with lots of colors to choose and buy. But if you look at this photo, you'll realize that a good number of these shelves, which when I first started frequenting this store were flush and full, now sit empty, and their color selection is rather limited, with not a lot of backstock of each color of paint that they do have, which for a store that sells a multitude of miniature products that need painting, this isn't really a great look, to be honest. But I'm not making this video simply because they're not stocking enough paint to my liking. No, what inspired this video? What caused me to consider businesses and how they choose to handle their businesses and what happens when the business starts failing, started with a couple of different things they started doing that I was alerted to through their Facebook page. What caught my eye was a post they made on February 27th of this year asking anyone who was traveling outside the Newark, Ohio area if they would be able to hang some flyers up for an upcoming event, which got me excited because years ago they did an event where people were able to come and kind of set up a seller's flea market for if you had RPG tabletop things to sell, such as dice trays, miniatures, whatever. It was kind of a craft show where people could sell their items. As a miniature painter and crafter, I thought this was a great idea. Unfortunately, I was unable to get the time off of work that day, so I was unable to get a booth and attempt to sell things, and I was always hoping they would do it again. Again, like I said, I have good memories of this store, and other than simply them not having the items I was looking to buy, I had no reason to stop going other than, again, I simply could not purchase the products that I wanted. Seeing this, I was kind of excited, actually. I thought it was a little weird that they were not just going, places and hanging flyers up themselves, but, whatever. If people want to hang up flyers, that's cool. Turned out it was more of a craft show for children, so again, my particular brand of miniatures, both the safe for work and not safe for work, they tend to be not necessarily children safe one way or the other, definitely not what the event would have been about, but it made me start paying more attention to their Facebook, hoping that they would start doing these events in the future. This led me to looking at some of their more recent Facebook posts, and I'll be honest, the stuff I saw did not sit well with me. On January 18th, they made a post about how the store's furnace was on the fritz, simply stating, "Help. Please, our furnace is not working at the store, and with the cold temperatures, we are in a desperate situation. We need to find parts and a place that is open. We need a blower motor to fix the issue. We do not need a tech, nor can we financially afford one. Looking for recommendations. Thank you in advance." Nothing too out of the ordinary here, things break. Techs are expensive, I get it, but it's definitely one of those things where they own the building that they run their business out of, and it's like, cool, you don't appear to have the funds to keep it running, which is problematic, but again, businesses can face hard times. Nothing too big at this point. But then seeing a post from February where they are essentially begging for help with getting their car fixed, stating, I need any of my amazing people help me with this issue, or know someone that will not break a broken person. It's like, okay, now you're begging for people to help you with your car repairs, and you're doing so via your store's official page, which I'm not really okay with this, but it's not my store. They're free to do what they will. It rubbed me the wrong way. By this point, I was kind of like, it seems like this store is failing and they're not going to be around much longer. But by this point, I wasn't going to the store anymore anyway. So I really didn't have a strong feeling. I mean, I didn't agree with some of, them posting the desperate situation, more or less begging. I didn't agree with it. But what was I going to do? I just wouldn't go to the store. It was fine. I didn't really care. I felt bad for them, sure, but again, they weren't going to really be getting any of my business because they didn't have the products that I wanted. And I was willing to just go on my way and ignore it until today when I got on Facebook for the first time in a little bit. I don't use Facebook all that often, to be perfectly honest, but I saw that they made this post. Hi y'all, I am needing my community's help and support. I need some help and ideas to raise money for advertising for the store. I was approached by 2 schools for us to be sponsors, and that in return would get our name and our community on shirts along with water bottles, but it can be costly. Please let me know if you're interested in running something to raise money for this cause, or if you have any ideas for me as well. As always, thank you for your support and commitment to the store and community. Now this I had a problem with, okay? Like, say what you will, maybe I'm, getting mad over nothing, but when you want to advertise for your store, the way you do that is you use the profits from the store. Like, that's the thing. Your advertising budget should build as you continue to grow and succeed. You should not be asking people to help you do fundraising for a for-profit business. I mean, I understand fundraising for, say, a nonprofit or a charity, but this is a for-profit business that sells, it's your friendly local game store that sells you Warhammer and D&D merchandise. Like, if they're going to advertise, that should be coming from the profits of their store. They shouldn't be trying to get the community to raise money so that they can afford to have an advertising budget. I also saw this was posted on their group Discord, which is fine. They're allowed to post whatever they want. It's their Discord. I get it. But then I saw another post that led me to the GoFundMe they have set up to get their furnace fixed. At the time of this video, they have raised $4,865 of their $7,000 goal, with a current number of donations of 45 donations, which leads to an average of just over $100 per donation. And this is what the GoFundMe says. Hello, my name is Katrina Kern. My husband and I own a business here in Newark, Ohio. The name of our business is Game Table Adventures. When we purchased this business, we pulled it out of the darkness and it started to come alive. Our business provides a welcoming environment for many people. We have many groups, including groups for the kiddos. We provide hobbies, activities, supplies, and support to many in the community. We are in desperate need of repairs to keep this family-owned and run business up and running. We need the furnace replaced and an overflow system installed ASAP. Without the help from the community, we will not be able to keep providing a safe environment for many people and children. Our store provides a welcoming environment that allows people to feel safe and involved with others. I am asking for your help to make this possible. Now, clearly there is some support behind this plea of theirs, as again, they have raised 70% of their goal. They have 45 donations, each, coming in at roughly $100 if you average it all out. But personally, I just think this is so weird to me. Like, I'm not even necessarily okay with AAA companies using Kickstarter, but let alone I am a GoFundMe for a for-profit business making a GoFundMe account to save their store just rubs me the wrong way in ways that it took me, I had to think about it. Why does this bother me so much? I have nothing against the Kerns. I have nothing against the store other than being a bit disappointed that they really no longer stock the product that drew me there in the first place. So why does this bother me so much? And we're going to get into that. But first, let me say that I do wish them well. I wish them success in their business, and ultimately I'm not going to dwell on them. Again, how they choose to run their business is their business, and if you disagree with me, then I would encourage you to go and help them raise their funds. I mean, I'm not going to, but I realize that in my ranting here I have put the word out, so to speak. So and if for some reason my video ends up being the one that gets people, whether out of support or just out of spite for me, I don't know why that would be, but if my video helps them meet their goal, I'm okay with that. All right, people, if you care about this, if you think this is a totally fine thing to do, speak with your money. Again, I'm not going to give any of mine, but again, that's we speak with our money. That's the whole point. But it got me just thinking about business in general and why I'm not okay with businesses starting GoFundMes, and that's really what the rest of this video is going to be about. So we're going to wish the Kerns well, wish their store well, and we're going to kind of leave them behind as we delve into a more broad concept of, is it really okay for businesses to do GoFundMe? Is it okay for for-profit businesses to beg the community for money rather than just trying to make their store profitable? Let's begin. And by begin, I mean kind of change directions 16 plus minutes into the video. Thank you for humoring me with the weird little intro outro things. I just having some fun with them. So let's get into the next part of this video. But yeah, I just have this problem with a for-profit business utilizing a GoFundMe. I mean, I get that it's kind of a, special situation, but it still feels like if you're going to own your own business, you should be able to maintain said business with the profits from your business. But, let's look at some of the balance. Let's look at a list of pros and cons for and against this concept. We'll start with the pros. I don't necessarily believe in this, but I want to see all sides of it. So, I guess one, community support. A GoFundMe campaign can rally local community members and loyal customers to support a business financially. There is quick access to the funds. These campaigns can provide immediate financial relief, helping the business to, stay afloat in tough times. There are minimal requirements. Setting up a GoFundMe is relatively easy, and it really doesn't require extensive paperwork or approval process like, let's say, a loan would. There is a publicity and awareness factor. Running a campaign can raise awareness of the business. It can attract new customers who want to support it. And there's some flexibility. The funds raised can be used as needed, whether for operational expenses, marketing efforts, or restructuring the business model. So there's some good to it, but let's get into the cons. One, public perception. That's why we're here. That's why this video is being made. I'm a member of the public and my perception. Some may view GoFundMe as a platform for personal emergencies rather than for business sustainability and potentially affecting the business's image. I mean, it certainly affected my view of the image. So, limited funds. Depending solely on donations may not cover all financial needs or provide a sustainable solution in the long term. There's the idea of dependency, that relying on donations can create a dependency mindset rather than focusing on long-term profitability and sustainability, which is ultimately the point of a business. There is administrative overhead. Managing a GoFundMe campaign requires time and effort, and this could distract from core business operations, though, to be fair, I don't know, it feels almost like that one, I don't know. I don't know how true I think that one is. It feels like it's no more difficult than maintaining your business's Facebook page. And then there are tax implications. Depending on the business structure and how the funds are used, there may be tax implications or complexities to consider. Again, not really my issue with this. Again, it doesn't necessarily make it look good if a for-profit business is having to beg for money. Again, ultimately, it seems shady to me. It seems kind of like a red flag. I mean, a for-profit business asking for donations to stay open, it creates kind of not only a perception issue, but an ethical issue. Like, unlike nonprofits, which exist to serve a cause, businesses are expected to be self-sustaining. I mean, let's kind of break this down a little further. There's the expectation of self-sufficiency. Businesses are meant to generate revenue through their products or services, and if they can't do that, asking for donations does feel kind of like an unfair shortcut. There's a moral hazard to it. If businesses start relying on donations instead of improving their business model, it sets a bad precedent. I mean, what stops them from doing it again? Shouldn't they be working towards making a sustainable business? There's kind of a lack of transparency, in my opinion. People might question how the business got into financial trouble in the first place. Was it poor management, bad spending habits? And a GoFundMe doesn't normally, provide accountability as, say, if you were to go and ask for a small business loan, you would be forced to be held accountable. You would need to prove that you were, that this wasn't just a money sink. There are unclear returns for donors. Like, unlike an investor who would get equity or customers who get a product, donors really don't get much in return. Should people just give money so a business owner doesn't have to close up shop, or should the business owner be expected to be delivering a product if they want to turn any kind of profit and gain any kind of funds? And then there is a potential for exploitation. Some businesses could take advantage of public sympathy and raise money without making any necessary changes to survive in the long term. So, these people that are donating, if it's specifically to keep the store open, they're doing it so that their store will remain open. But what's to say this store won't find itself in trouble again, and then it will, it will fade. And then those people will have essentially wasted their money. And again, ultimately, all does depend on, the business. There could be, despite these concerns, there are some cases where a GoFundMe campaign might not be as shady as I'm making it out to be. If it's a community-centric business, a beloved small-town bookstore or family cafe or a historic venue, it might be seen as part of the community's culture, making fundraising, more acceptable. I don't know if a friendly local game store fits that description. In my opinion, not really, even though it is one of my favorite types of stores. I don't really think it falls under this. But again, this kind of idea could make it more palatable. And businesses do face unexpected hardships. If the business is suffering due to something beyond their control, such as a natural disaster or sudden illness of the owner, people might see a GoFundMe as justified. But simply maintaining your building, again, I don't necessarily think that fits. It could be a temporary crisis, not a chronic issue. If the business has a solid history of success, but faces a short-term financial hurdle, donations might help them bridge the gap without seeming like a handout. But again, this business the one that I was talking about, has only been under its current ownership for 2 years. I mean, that's pretty, the business, it's been around since 2011, but under its current owners, it's only been operating for, honestly, a little under 2 years, and it's already having to make a GoFundMe. So again, I don't think it fits in that situation. And if there is a clear plan for change, if the campaign outlines exactly how the funds will be used to turn things around, such as upgrading equipment, covering rent while relocating, investing in marketing, it may feel more legitimate. But again, this is for a repair, the one I was talking about, and they are trying to raise money for marketing, but at the same time, it just feels like that was a run-of-the-mill repair, and that, if they really want to sponsor a local school event, then that should be their money doing it, not our money. And I said I was going away from just focusing on the one store, and I'm about to. So sorry, I've been using them as an example, but there's so many more examples we see of this. There's this idea in this country that the American small business is dying, and we as a people need to save it. And if we're going to do that, though, we need to look at what exactly are we saving? Are we saving stores that aren't going to have the products we want, that aren't going to consistently give us a reason to go and give them our business and our patronage? Why? Why would we do that? There's talk right now because GameStop seems to be on its last legs. I mean, both of my local GameStops in my town and the next town over both closed recently. And, so the idea is GameStop seems like it's got a couple years maybe, and then it's going to be gone. And this, as you would think, would be a boon to the small mom and pop game stores that dot the American landscape, especially in a time where, to be fair, a lot of former, used video game stores have made the transition to, a friendly local game store specializing in card games, tabletop games, things like that. Simply for the longest time, they were unable to compete with GameStop. But for every store that has adapted to survive, you have a million more of these, used game stores that I've gone to as I have gone all over my own state of Ohio. And if there's a local video game store in a town that I visited on my search for more nerdy things, I would go in, and so many of them had such awful selections of video games. The upper shelves would be lined with collectibles that weren't even for sale, which was did not make a collector like myself happy. It was like, no, just come in and look at my cool things and maybe buy a crappy overpriced used video game, in an effort for me, the shop owner or employee, to not have to go out and get a real job where I'm expected to do actual work. And that is, to me, what a lot of the and it's not just video game stores, it's comic book stores, it's, all types of nerdery. It with the exception of ones that are simply and purely collectible stores, the ones that sell figures, the ones that sell toys, they seem to do a pretty good business. But ones that sell, comic books, games, tabletop games, video games, there seems to be an excess of stores that really are just limping along because the owners and employees don't want to have to rejoin the corporate workforce. They're not adapting with the times. They're not growing their business. They're just limping along. And I would hate to see it get to a point where each time one of these businesses gets into trouble, they feel that it's okay to beg for money instead of just upping their efforts to sell product, which is the point of a business. Over the years, there have been dozens of stores that I frequented and loved that eventually went under due to the fact that their business model just wasn't sustainable. And while I do miss them, it is what it is in the world of business, just within nature. You adapt and survive, or you die. And that it is the same in business as it is in the animal kingdom. You cannot expect people simply out of, pure nostalgia to keep you afloat while you run a failing business further into a sinkhole. Like, I have put forth in my videos a set of goals that I need to reach this year in order to me bother, keeping my channel going. And dear God, if I all of a sudden did a GoFundMe that said keep my channel alive, I would feel awful. Just because you want to do something to make money doesn't mean that it's going to be successful. And if you can't successfully make money doing what you want to do, well, it's not up to other people to just give you money so that you don't have to go do something else. And I definitely feel that, if you're going to run a store, that you own the building, then you should have enough in your reserves to do repairs. Things like furnaces break, right? I mean, again, we're talking about that store again. I said I wasn't going to, but at the same time, it's like it seems like you should have $7,000 in your business account in order to do necessary repairs to the building with which you run your business and make your livelihood. That's why businesses have reserves. And if you don't do that, one, then you should be renting a space where you're paying rent and the maintenance falls on your landlord, which I've known several businesses that was the model they went with, because ultimately it was cheaper and more profitable to not own their own space. But ultimately it is, when what you're doing as a business isn't working, you either adapt or you die, and that is okay. I mean, again, there's millions of businesses over the years, since the history of the world economy, that have come, they've tried, they've failed, they've faded away. And guess what? It was not the end of the world. And the people who had this idea and they built their business and the business crumbled, they went and they worked for a different business, because clearly they were not, meant to own their own business. Just because you want to own a business doesn't mean you get to. Not everyone can be a successful entrepreneur, and quite frankly, that's okay. But, are we really going to be okay with businesses resorting to begging for money without actually delivering a product? I don't think so, guys. Thank you so much for listening to me today. If indeed you are still here, go ahead, leave a thumbs up in the comments, whether that's an emoji or just the word thumbs up. Thank you so much, guys. And if you enjoy rants like this, I'm going to try. I do at least 3 of these a month. I might try to do more when I can. But, as little as $1 a month gets you access to all of them. So please do consider joining that $1 tier. But either way, I do thank you for watching and listening to me ramble today. Until next time, I'm Mr. Sean. This is Mr. Sean Productions, and I sincerely hope that you alpha great day and an even beta tomorrow. Bye-bye.